In today's video, I'm going to talk about how I think the WEF, World Economic Forum, has been very dishonest with the public. This is because Klaus Schwab recently announced that he's going to resign, and cryptocurrency plays a huge role in everything these guys are trying to do and how we can kind of counteract it. It's actually pretty scary what the World Economic Forum has been working on behind the scenes and trying to get all of retail investors to join. For those who don't know Klaus Schwab, he is the person whose quote, "will own nothing and be happy" went viral. He has also said that he eats ants and other bugs. The WEF, the group he was in charge of, gets money from thousands of multinational companies like Pfizer and many others. These companies give them millions of dollars every year to have an effect on global politics. There's no doubt that this group has been closely watched, but I find it pretty scary what they're trying to do to get the control they want over the world. So I wanted to talk about some of the accusations that have been made against them in the past and what this really means. You can see that the WF has been attacked for its close ties to big businesses. These businesses pay for the WF's memberships $628,000 a year for top partners. Critics say this corporate capture lets businesses affect global government, which puts democratic processes on the back burner. An IHM piece published in 2021 by Open Democracy talked about the WF's role in multi-stakeholder projects like COVAX and mentioned that companies like Pfizer and GlaxoSmithKline were involved in ways that were not clear. They can basically change the way governments around the world work and what they tell the people. You can help them by becoming a member or giving them money from businesses. You could say that they're not really influencing, but they are charging these crazy amounts so that many businesses can pay them to get policies passed that are good for them. Pfizer's medicines are a good example. Because they work with the World Economic Forum, they were able to form huge relationships with governments all over the world. However, the World Economic Forum is also working on a number of other things, such as creating new financial systems and services and integrating with China's financial system more closely. This is particularly strange because most of the people involved with the WEF are from Western politics. It seems to me that these guys are elitists who have been hacked and are trying to set up banking systems to control your lives. There are several reasons why I believe that, but I only want to stress a few key points here. People are looking closely at the WEF's partnerships with more than 1,000 companies, some of which work in controversial areas like fossil fuels. This is because the WEF supports environmental protection. That's why I think the WEF is very dishonest about this and many other things. They say they care about the environment, but they take money from fuel companies, which is, to say the least, odd. You can see that the WEF defends its corporate relationships as necessary for dialogue between many stakeholders, pointing out that it is a non-profit organization whose goal is to make the world a better place. All over again, they say it's a non-profit. People who work for this group, on the other hand, get crazy amounts of money from these companies. Someone who used to be on the WF was caught getting over $900,000 0 cents in unreported consulting fees from Alcatel to get the government to follow certain rules. His name was Jose Maria Figueres, and this is just one person who has had these kinds of claims thrown out. And this is one of the ones that was proven, but a lot of others were. You can see that they are also very dishonest about the earth. They're talking about carbon credits and how they can take this idea and put it on the world market to create a debt-backed carbon system where people buy land and other things. There are a lot of politicians who talk about how carbon credits can help businesses make money, but it's really just a big plan to launder taxpayer money so that these people can make more money. Those are just a few of the real things going on here, so I could talk about a lot of things all day. Just quickly though, I wanted to visit their website and talk about their ideas for the future of financial services in China and beyond. I find this very interesting. On their website, they talk a lot about China, and they want China to be a part of the world economy. Again, it looks like a lot of buy. It's clear that China's banking system is going through a major change. The country is removing limits on how many shares foreigners can own. Foreign insurance companies are also getting around entry hurdles and ownership caps put in place by insurance and fund management companies. The forum is bringing together its community of Chinese stakeholders and the world's leading financial institutions as part of an initiative called Future of Financial Services in China and Beyond. They will talk about how the current changes need to be shaped so that a strong, efficient, and open system can emerge, as well as helping people and stakeholders. This method will also help the economy grow in the future. In the end, the goal of the effort is to help the Chinese markets become more connected to the world's financial system. By getting people from China and the West involved in two main work streams, it builds trust between them. This is really strange to me. Why do the Chinese markets need to be a bigger part of the world's financial system now? And why is this plan to open up capital markets and include China being spread by a group of wealthy Westerners? I find it very strange. What do you guys think? Things start to make a lot more sense as you look into them further. Naturally, there are a few different ways that we can deal with the debt problems we're having in North America right now. One, we can let China, which has a huge economy, have more power over ours because they're buying a lot of goods from us and making huge surpluses. This is correct for Europe, the US, and Canada, but not for most of the Western Hemisphere. China has a lot of trade with the West and they completely dominate that trade. Our side has huge surpluses and their side has huge debts. China is basically taking a lot of resources, cash and money from our markets and bringing them back to China to make their country richer. They then put the debt and all of their troubles on us. The Web's answer is not to fix these trade deficits, but to ignore them totally and focus on giving China more control over our markets. It looks like this has been going on for a long time, but people are only now becoming aware of it. When you look at the WEF website and see what they want to do, I don't think it's too much of a coincidence that Klaus Schwab is stepping down at the same time that these problems are starting to be fixed. A bigger worry is the kinds of systems they're building and how they all connect to regular banking systems. They're talking about it a bit now. You can see that they talk about how over the past 10 years, all of the world's big financial systems have changed a lot thanks to technology. However, the Chinese system has changed the most quickly and dramatically. In other words, they're saying that the Chinese markets have changed so much faster than ours that we need to add them to ours. Without a doubt, we can learn from them and make changes to the way our finances work. Unfortunately, I don't think we need to add them to our systems and give them more power over our data, privacy, and finances, which would make them the most powerful economy, like your worth. Selling out our countries to give China everything they want is what the WEF wants people to think is the best way to move forward. They also want our banking systems to be watched over the same way they are in China, where there are social credit systems. What the WEF wants is for Canada, the United States, and Europe to all have social credit systems. These are more than just credit scores. Also, you know what number lets you go or not go into certain areas. Every part of your life is being watched. For example, if you cross the street with